Hey guys, my name's TotallyGamerJet, and welcome back to another tutorial. So today, the episode 6 of our Bukkit tutorial, and today we're going to do player-specific configs, and we're also going to be learning how to make just custom plugins in general. So this is going to be really easy, and it probably is a long tutorial, but it's going to be easy. So we're going to create a new package. I'm calling this one Utilities, and inside we're going to create a new class. This class is going to be called ConfigManager. Okay, so once we have got that, we're going to make a few variables. So the first one is going to be private main plugin. Okay, and I'll explain what these are. Next is private player P. Next is private file configuration FC. And then next, or last, is private file. Okay, so just import all of that stuff, and there you go. Okay, so private main plugin is like an instance of main. Okay, so that's how we get our main plugin. Then private player P is the player or the owner of this config, because like I said, we're doing player specific configs. So the owner is going to be this player here. And then we have private file configuration FC, and this is the file, the configuration file. And this is private file is the file. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to create a constructor. So a constructor is like when you create an instance of a class, this is what's going to be required for this class. So what you're going to need is main plugin, which we've done that in other tutorials, player and player P. Okay, so then we open that up, and then what we do is this dot plugin equals plugin, and then we do this dot P equals P. So the reason we have this here is because we want to use this plugin. We want to get this variable, and that's going to equal this plugin. So this, which means this class dot plugin, so it's going to get this plugin equals this plugin right here, and then same for the P. So that's what. So you're going to require the main plugin, like the main class, and the P and the player every time you create a new instance of ConfigManager. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a public player getOwner method. So this method is going to return the player. So return player. But what happens if the player is null, and then we want to cause an error? Well, not cause an error, but that's an error. So if P equals null, we're going to try. So we're using a try and catch. We're going to try to throw new exception. Okay, we're going to try to throw an exception, and then catch exception E. Okay, and then E dot print stack trace. Okay, and then we also are going to do, okay, so it's going to cause an exception. It's going to say there's a problem with player, because if player's null, then you can't do anything else. You can't create a file or anything. But next, hopefully our player won't be null, and we'll be good. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create public file get file. So this is going to return the actual java.io.file. Okay, so we're going to do if file equals null. That means we got to get the file. We either have to create it or just make sure it exists. So file equals new file. Okay, and then get data folder. There's going to be an error here, but that's okay, because we don't actually have a data folder. And then get owner. We don't have that method, so get owner. And then we're going to dot get unique ID, and then we're going to put it to string, dot to string. Okay, there we go. And we don't have get data folder yet, but we will be creating that soon. So ignore that error. And then we're going to do if file doesn't exist, we're going to attempt to create it. So we're going to do try file.create new file. and then we're going to catch an IO exception E, and then we're going to do e.print stack trace. There we go. Okay, and then after this, if it is not null, we're just going to return file. Nice and simple. Okay, so after that, we're going to get config. We're also going to create this get config method. So public file configuration get config. Okay, so then if fc equals null, then we're going to fc equals YAML configuration dot load configuration, and then we're going to get file. Oh, and there we go. And then if it's not null, then we're just going to return fc. Okay, nice and simple. So now up here, we're going to create our get data folder, so we can get rid of that error. So public file get data folder. Okay, so we're going to create a file directory equals new file, and this is really long, so main.class.get protected domain .get code source .get location .get path .replace all, and we're going to replace %20s with a space. Okay, so now we have a directory, and this directory is the directory of our plugin, okay? So this is the directory of our plugin, okay? And then we're going to do is file D equals new file directory.get path, right? Oh no, get parent, oops, it's get parent file. So .get parent file, .get path. There we go. Okay, well this up here is the directory of our class, so the main class, and then this is the directory of the jar. Okay, and then what you do is we're going to do plugin.getName. Okay, so what this is doing is it's going to it's going to get the plugin's location, so the jar file, and then it's going to get the name of the plugin, and it's going to create a folder of the plugin. Well, it's creating a file, so it's not yet a folder. But then we're going to do if d.exists, so then we're going to put an exclamation point here, so if it doesn't exist, we're going to do d.makeDirectories, like that. Okay? And then after that, we're just going to return D. Nice and simple. So hopefully that made sense. So now we get no error here because this is the folder. It's returning the folder. So it's like when you create a config, it's going to create a folder inside the plugins folder of the same name as the plugin. So this just does that exact same thing. Because this way you don't need to actually create a plugin.yml. You can just use this. So now we have no errors. But now what we have to do is we're going to do an exist. So this up here, we're going to do public boolean exists. Okay. So this is going to detect if the config actually exists, and if it doesn't, then it's going to return false, and if it does, it's going to return true. So then we're going to do a simple check. We're just going to do if fc equals null or file equals null, we're going to continue. So if either the config or the file is null, we're going to continue. So we're going to create a temp file. So file temp equals new file, and then we're going to get data folder. Okay, so we're getting the data folder, and then we're going to do get owner. Okay, we're getting the owner, and then we're going to add plus .yml. Oh, and we also forgot plus .yml here. Okay, and there we go. So now we have this temp file, and we're going to do if temp doesn't exist, then we're going to return false. But if temp does exist, we're going to set file to equal temp. So if the file is already there, and then we're going to return true. Okay, guys. So there we go. So now just go right. So we're just seeing if the config or the file equals no. So if either of those equal no, we're going to create this temp file. So this temp file is just going to get the data folder, and then it's going, that's the folder, and then it's going to create get owner dot get unique ID dot to string. Okay, so we actually have to do that. And then add return statement. Why do we have? Oh, whoops. Okay, so this return true is supposed to go out here. Okay. And this is going to create a file that has the owner's UUID, and then put the string, and it's going to add YML. And then if that doesn't exist, we'll return true, false. And if it does exist, we're going to create set file to equal temp, and then we're going to return true. Okay, so this is pretty simple. I think we got it all, but we don't. So the next thing we have to do is we have to create a save config, because of course we need to be able to save the config. So public void save config. Okay. So then we're just going to try. We're going to do a try and catch, and we're going to get the config. Okay. Dot save. So we're going to save, and we're going to get the file. So we're getting the config, and we're saving get file. Okay. And then we're going to catch an IO exception. And then we're going to print stack trace. Okay, so that way we'll save the config, and there's also, we can do a reset config, but we don't have to. We're not using that in this example. So now we're going to create an events package, and we're going to create a new class, and this class is going to be called player join. So the first thing we're going to do is going to implement listener. Okay, and then we're going to import that. Okay. So I'm going to create a private main plugin variable. Then we're going to create a constructor public player join main plugin. Okay, and this dot plugin equals plugin. I'm going really fast because I've already explained all of this. I spelled join wrong. Import everything. Then we need to import main. Okay, there we go. That's all we need to do there. So now we're going to create an add event handler. So public void on join player join event e. So when a player joins, they're going to run this method is going to be run. I don't know. It's one of those. So then we're going to we're going to get the player. So player p equals e.getPlayer. Okay, so now we have the player. So now we're going to create a new instance of ConfigManager. So ConfigManager. So ConfigManager CM equals new ConfigManager. Okay. Ooh. Okay, ConfigManager. So we're going to get an error because we first got to import it, but now we're going to get an error because we don't have the arguments. So what we need to do is we have to add the arguments. So plugin, and then we need the player. So p. So then we get no errors. So now if we do cm dot, and you can see we have exist, we have get config, get data folder, get file, get owner, and save config. So that's how you'll be able to do stuff. So now what we want to do is we're going to do if cm dot get dot exists. So exists. If it doesn't exist, if a config for this player does not exist, we're going to create a file configuration f equals cm dot get config. So we're creating a new file, and it's going to equal cm dot get config. Okay, and then we're going to do f dot set. So we're going to set the default stuff really. So name, and we're going to say p dot get name. Okay. Then we're going to do f dot set UUID. So we're going to set the UUID. Okay, and that's going to do p dot get UUID dot toString. Okay, so now we have that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to also put their the date and time that they joined. So we're going to do date now equals new date. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to create a simple, we want to put it in a special format. So to do that, we create a simple date format, and we call this format, okay? Equals new simple date format, okay? And then we have to put the format. So the format that I'm going to be using is the date, the month, and the year. And then what we're also going to do is hour, minutes, and seconds, okay? So that is what we want, and then we're going to import both of those from utility. Okay, so now what we can do is we can do f.set, and we're going to say join underscore date, so the join date, we're going to do format.format, and we're going to format now. And then we're also going to do f.set last underscore join, so the last time they joined, so that's going to be obviously the same time, so you're just going to do format.format, and then we're going to format now. Okay? And then what we want to do is cm.saveconfig, and there you go. So now we get no errors. So I'm just going to source and format all this so that it's all nice. So now what happens if it does exist? Well, obviously we want to change their date, so the date's different. So what we're going to do is file configuration f equals cm.getConfig. Okay, so we're getting the config again, and we're going to create a new date now equals new date. Okay, and then simple date format. So we're creating a new simple date format called format equals new simple, if I could spell simple right, simple date format. And then we're going to re-put everything in. I'm not going to type that again because that's a lot to type, but there you go. Just put that in there, and there we go. So no errors. Well, oh, because we need to put this to equals. And then what we to do is we just do f.set, and we're going to set last underscore join, so the last time they joined is format.format, and we're going to format now. Okay, and then we're just going to cm.saveconfig, and there we go. So I'm also going to, even though we're not going to use it, I'm going to create a new class, so you don't have to do this, but I'm going to call this class config, and this class I have over here already written. Okay, so this class is if you just want to create custom, configs. You don't actually need it's not player based. So if it's not player based, you can use just this class, and it requires a string, so not a player. So, and then it uses get name instead of get owner. So we can use that instead if we wanted to, but we want to use player-based configs, so that's why we have our config manager over here. But yeah, this will also be available to use if you want to just copy that. So yeah, now we're going to go into our main. We're going to do plugin manager pm equals new equals bukkit.getPluginManager. Okay, import plugin manager, and then what we're going to do is pm.registerEvents. So down here, we're going to do a new player join, and this is going to require this, and then we're going to do this. Okay, there we go. Everything, we get no errors, and now everything will work. So now I'm just gonna export jar file and export it, and I'll start the server, and we can check it out and see if it works. Okay guys, so here is the file, and you can see there's no folder here. So now we're gonna start the server, and you can see while it's starting up that it will, once we join the server, it will create the folder. So now you just gotta start up Minecraft. Okay guys, so I'm at the menu screen, as you saw, see menu screen, and you see there's no folder. So now we're just gonna do is multiplayer, and we're going to join the server, and you can see it's going to create the data folder. See, there's the data folder right here, so it's the same as the one in our plugin.yml. It's the name, that name. And then what we're going to do, if you go inside, you can see created config with our UUID, the UUID of the player, so it can't ever be changed. And then you can see the name, the UUID, the time they the date they joined, and the last join date. And if you see, if we disconnect, wait a little bit, and then rejoin, you can see we will get a new latest join. So if we join again, okay, and if you look, you can see it has now updated to our new date. So yeah, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any problems, please comment, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. And subscribe because you enjoyed the video, and I will make more videos. And thanks for watching. Goodbye.